Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Inspired Lady podcast. It's your host, Belle Grubb, and we have such a fun episode today. I am so excited. We're here with the one, the only Cameron. Okay, so she is a business owner, a podcast host, a motivational speaker, an author with a book coming out very, very soon. And I am so excited to be talking to her. She's also a sports reporter, all the things. And you guys are going to learn so much from this, and I am so ready. Okay, so let's get into this conversation about perseverance and get to know Cameron Dobbs a little bit better. All right, jumping right in, Miss Cameron, first thing we always do here on the Inspired Lady podcast, what are you drinking right now?
Oh, okay. So I am not a coffee drinker or anything. So in terms of like fun drinks, because I'm like a water girl all the way. I love my water. I drink so much water. We joke that it's like your security blanket that you just carry everywhere. My water, always. In terms of other fun drinks, though, I'm a big like sparkling water girl. So recently found this new company called Waterloo. Really good flavors. It's the same thing as like LaCroix, like all the usuals, but super good. And then if it's a more like morning type drink, then I gotta go with an iced chai. That's my go-to.
I love it. That's amazing. Right now, I actually have this orange smoothie drink, and it's got orange, carrot, ginger, and lemon. Not the greatest flavor, but I feel very on top of things. Yeah.
Yes.
I just feel like I'm getting my life
like
together.
It's like hot girl walk, but hot girl drink.
Exactly. That's this drink right here.
Yes,
so I'm loving
it.
That makes me so happy. Okay, so introduce yourself. Tell us all about you.
Sure. Well, you said it a little bit in my intro, but pretty much if you sum up everything that I do, I kind of talk for a living. And we were just saying off air how it's kind of funny because my voice is low key gone right now. And that's kind of what I get for talking for a living and not saying no to things. I'm a little burnt out right now, but it's just grind season for us. So we're going with it. But yeah, so I do a lot of things. My background though is I'm born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in a family of 5. I always say a family of 5, a family of faith, and a family of football and fitness on top of that too. So my dad played football at Auburn. My mom was a Tigerette at Auburn, so very heavily involved in football, the team, and sports and athletics there as well. My oldest sister, also played volleyball at Auburn. My older brother played football at Vanderbilt. My older sister married a former Auburn football player as well. So we are just like SEC football type of family. We're all athletes, all Division I athletes, and I myself was one as well. So I played volleyball growing up, following in my sister's footsteps, just wanting to do everything that she did. I wanted to copy anything she did, so I followed in her footsteps and played volleyball as well. Same position as her and everything, and then ended up being pretty good. So I got the chance to go and play it in college at the University of Miami. Did that, played my freshman year, my sophomore year. Sophomore year was crazy, ended up switching positions twice. So I went from an outside hitter to a DS, to then transferring again to being a middle, all within 1 month at the Division I level. And if you don't know volleyball terms, for my football players or my football fans, that's like going from a wide receiver to a kicker to a defensive lineman, all in 1 month at the Division I Power 5 level. Like, insane switch. So that was my career my sophomore year, and I loved every minute of it. And then my junior year, I was kind of getting in the groove of this whole college athlete type of thing. I was a captain. I was a starter. I had my life together on and off the court, serving in tons of organizations. I was a president of a student org. I was just kind of the it girl. Like, I had it all together. My life, my academics, my extracurriculars, everything. I was serving in a church on several teams. Like, life was looking good for me. I was about to graduate an entire year early. I was going to get my master's during my senior year of volleyball. I was going to graduate and go intern with the ACC or SEC network. And then I was going to go play pro for a few years and then come back and start my broadcasting degree. Like, I had it all figured out, or so I thought. And so the start of my junior season, September 7th, 2019, I actually got my third brain injury within 1 year. So third brain injury within 12 months while playing volleyball. And that ended up stopping my entire life, pausing my entire life, flipping my life upside down, and teaching me a lot of hard lessons in the meantime, as I then was taken out of everything I did. I pretty much went from a stud in all things to a dud in all things. I ended up having to drop out of school. I had to have therapy where I was walking. I had to go to brain therapy, cognitive therapy, psychological therapy. I had tons of neurological appointments. I was on very heavy duty medication. I couldn't drive. My parents had to take care of me again. And it was just quite honestly the worst time of my life ever, with depression and anxiety all on top of that. So I went from having my entire life together to having it flipped upside down and having everything ripped away from me. And that is kind of the root of what my testimony has come to, and everything that I've learned has really been in that 6-month recovery season when we questioned whether I would be a fully functioning human being ever again. And so I'm sure we'll get more into the details of that season. But since then, praise God, I have been able to heal. You see me now today without wearing sunglasses and earplugs and headphones and hats everywhere and being so debilitated. But now I am able to shine in God's glory and do so many amazing things. Like you've said, I'm a motivational speaker now. My book is being published. I have my own podcast, my own company, my own merch that kind of speaks to my testimony as well and encourages others to do the same. And then I'm also the on-air host for the University of Miami Hurricanes, all of their sports. So I'm doing tons of things with different shows, running those, in-game hosting, and the list goes on and on. But long story short, I talk for a living. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I'm very much rooted in sports.
That is the most incredible testimony. Seriously, if you're not watching on YouTube and you're just listening, go check out Cameron Dobbs' Instagram, okay, which will be in the show notes, because you would never guess this. You would never guess that you had gone through such a crazy journey of having 3 brain injuries and having to go through all of that therapy and not knowing what the future for yourself would look like. That's insane. So how long were you doing all of these different therapy exercises, all of that? How long was recovery for you?
Sure. If you go back to the exact calendar dates, like I said, I got that third blow to my head was September 7th, 2019. And then the first day I could run again was February 6th, 2020. So it was almost 6 months to the exact date of when I was quote unquote back to normal in a way, or at least really pushing back to normal, because that was the first day I could run again since being injured. But I went 4 months straight with 0% improvement. So for 4 months straight, every single day, I had severe headaches, severe dizziness, nausea, sensitivity to light and noise, brain fog, confusion, memory loss, exhaustion, trouble sleeping, depression, and anxiety. And the list goes on of all of those symptoms for 4 months straight with 0% improvement.
Oh my gosh. So that actually is the perfect segue into the main topic that I wanted to talk to you about today, which is perseverance. I mean, so much of what you talk about is how to live your best life, how to, I'm going to use your quote here, play where your feet are, you know what I mean? And embrace where you're at. But I mean, oh my gosh, how in the world were you able to persevere through that? Because 4 months straight of having no growth, no show of anything that you can be yeah, okay, I can keep going because I did this yesterday. What did that look like? How were you persevering through that?
Well, I'll be honest. I think that so much of Play Where Your Feet Are is a testimony to my testimony, because it's something that I learned through it. It's not something that I was perfect at whatsoever. And even today, I'm not perfect at it. So, I talk to people about my book coming out, and it's also called Play Where Your Feet Are. And I think the biggest thing for me is that this is a sermon to myself even today. People assume that, oh, you've written about this, you have a podcast about this, you speak about this all the time, you must be really good at playing where your feet are. And I think I'm okay about it. I think I'm very intentional about it, keeping it top of mind. But it's really hard to play where your feet are. Playing where your feet are is doing your best and being your best no matter what, no matter where. That's pretty definitive. No matter what, no matter where. If you are having a good day or a bad day, whatever your day might look like, whatever you're going through, to do your best, that's tough to do. It's a tough mindset to have, and even more, it's a tough action to perform. And so for me during that time, I realized the significance of play where your feet are. I realized that, hey, if I was going to be that starter and the captain on the Hurricanes volleyball team, playing at the ACC level, performing highly every single week, then I was going to do just that. I was going to be on the court, and I was going to be the best volleyball player on that court. But if I was sitting left bench and not playing whatsoever, I was still going to play where my feet are. Because just because you're not playing doesn't mean you can't play where your feet are. And that's one thing I specifically say to non-athletes too. This isn't just an athlete thing. Whether you're playing or not, you can play where your feet are. And so I realized if I'm on the sideline, I can be the best cheerleader. I can be so obnoxiously loud. I can call out the other team. I can help my teammates win, even if I'm not putting in the action just like they are. And the same thing happened when I transitioned into being a coach after being forced to medically retire. That just because I'm on the sidelines, I can still play where my feet are. I can do my best and be my best no matter what, no matter where. And I can live a life full of living in the position I'm in, because every position has impact and has purpose. And so just because I'm not putting in the work on the court, I can still make an impact. And so my role there was helping my fellow athletes, former teammates, with whatever they were doing, or maybe being a voice for them, kind of being a bridge from the athlete to the coach. Or maybe it was hearing them as human beings rather than just only looking at them as the athletes that they are. And then when I was injured and hurt, I realized the grace aspect that comes with play where your feet are. Because you can do your best every single day, but your best might look different. Your best one day might be dumbbell bench pressing 70 pounds. But the next day you might be so tired that it's only dumbbell bench pressing 30 pounds. Who knows? It's still your best. One day to the next, it's still your best. That's a mindset. That's not necessarily a result that we're looking at. And so knowing that play where your feet are is giving yourself grace. During that time of being injured, I had to realize that, okay, my goal now was not to be the ACC player of the week or player of the year. My goal was maybe getting out of my bed and walking to my kitchen and back without becoming lightheaded. Or maybe it was not wearing sunglasses inside. Or it was trying to take one less pill throughout the day, hoping that my headaches wouldn't be that severe. Your goals change as the arenas that you're playing in change too, but you can still play where your feet are. You can still do your best and be your best no matter what, no matter where. It's just understanding the arena you're playing in and then setting goals in that arena.
That is so good. And something that you said was the intentionality behind that, you know, where people look at you and they think, oh, she's a pro at being in the moment. And no one's really a pro at that. You know, it's just the intentionality of keeping that at the forefront of your mind, of choosing to be where you are that day. And it's a choice, not so much just something that happens because you wrote a book on it. You're not, you know what I mean? Like, you still have to make that choice every day to show up as your best self. And I love that so much. And I also love how you talk about the seasons, where there are seasons where you are on the field and it is intense and you are playing hard and you are grinding it out, and showing up as your best self is hard because it's consistently needing you. But then there's times where you feel like you're on the bench and showing up as your best self is hard because you feel like maybe there's not a point to it or a reason to show up as your best self. And so no matter which one you find yourself in, whether that's on the bench and feeling like, oh my gosh, nothing I do matters, or I just don't really see the point of what I'm doing, what my dream is, I don't even know. Or if you're on the court and you're like, gosh, this is insane, I can't keep showing up as my best self day after day after day. Just choosing it every single time, no matter which side you're on, is so important. I love how you touched on that. That's so good.
Yeah, and going off of that real quick too, is that seasons are such a big thing of this too, because we talk so often in my family specifically about sharpening your saw. And that's something I'm so bad at. I'm really bad at giving myself rest. But as you can see now or hear from my voice, is that I need it. It's something that I need to be able to perform at a high level. And so we have to take seasons too, where doing your best is actually getting rest. Doing your best is stepping back. It's not always just going full speed all the time, going 100, speeding at 1,000,000 miles per hour. I say that, how can you stop to smell the roses if you're too busy speeding past them all?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to enjoy life. You have to step back a little bit too. And so that's one thing that's really important, is that you're doing your best is not necessarily grinding 24/7. It's not about glorifying the grind all the time. That's not your best, and that's not anyone's best. You have to be able to rest first in order to put your best foot forward. And then also going off of you mentioned sometimes it's being on the bench and things like that as well, is that a waiting season is not a wasted season. And I always say too, don't waste today waiting for tomorrow. There were seasons that, yes, I was the starter on a team for years on years, but there were also times before that I was on the bench fighting to be a starter and fighting to be on the court and fighting to get my time. Or I was randomly thrown in at a point when I had no idea I was thrown in, but I'm grateful for the time that I spent grinding when no one else was seeing, that it prepared me for that time. And so so often in sports, we all have an off season. Volleyball, for example, same as football, our off season is the spring. And so you think, oh, it's the off season, you're chilling, it's so relaxing, right? Like, no, this is the time when we work hardest And our coaches and our strength changers push us the hardest because they know that we can be sore because we don't have a game coming up. So they don't care how much we're dying because there's not a game that's going to prevent us from not doing our best. And I joke about that a little, but it's my point in saying that is just because it's the quote unquote off season or the waiting season, or you don't think it's your time quite yet, or whatever your mentality might be, that's when you go the hardest. When no one's watching, when it doesn't have anything to pay off for in your mind, that's when you go the hardest. Your training season is not your off season. Or excuse me, your off season is not an off season. It's a training season. Don't waste today waiting for tomorrow. Don't think, oh, in 5 years or in a week or in 2 months, whatever it is, take advantage of today. Like, God has so much in front of you right now. You might have incredible things ahead of you next month, or when you graduate high school going into college, or when you graduate college, you might already have a job lined up. I'm sure you have great things ahead of you, and yes, the best is yet to come, but there are great things right here now. Like, why not live a life full of living today? Why not make the moments we're in the best moments possible? Like, I mean, I'm sure you know her. I'll quote her, Hannah Montana, life's what you make it, so let's make it rock. Am I right?
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yes, all the Hannah Montana quotes, please. That is so, so true. And I know this is so cliche to say, but really when you think about it, I personally am exactly where I wanted to be when I was younger in ways that I didn't even know. Yep. And so I keep looking forward and I'm like, all right, we got to get to this next phase. We got to do this next. We got to, succeed at this, accomplish this. But really, like, 12-year-old me would be shocked, like, just like blown away and be like, I didn't even know I could dream for that yet, And so if we're not where our feet are, we're going to miss all of that, all of the blessings that God is just pouring out on us. And that doesn't matter what season you're in, because that can apply. And I love it.
For sure.
Okay, well, I would love it if you could just walk us through a few of your tangible steps on perseverance. Like, what are a few things that you really feel like help create a culture of perseverance in your own heart?
Sure. Well, I think if you're relating it to play where your feet are, your first thing is realize where your feet are. And I know it sounds silly, but step one is like realization. Okay, take in the moment you're in. Maybe it's great. Maybe you are on top of the world, thriving right now, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're at the pit of the valley. Understand that. Like, I tell people all the time, if you need to throw yourself a pity party, throw yourself a pity party. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Just don't stay at that party too long. Like, this is a one night thing. You go to that pity party, you do what you need to do, but then you get out and leave. Like, this is not at a resort. This is not an extended stay. Don't overstay your place at your pity party. Get in and get out. Do what you need to do. Feel those feelings, because those are valid feelings and emotions. But let's move on, because that's what Play Where Your Feet Are is all about. It's about continually progressing and improving. It's specifically play, not be. We don't want to just be where our feet are, because you can be in the moment, live in the moment. That's all good, great, and dandy. But I want to do more than just be. Like, I want to have fun. I want to play. I want to compete. I want to improve. I want to change. I want to keep going. And it's not stay where your feet are either. So like I said, be where your feet are, sure. Understand the moment you're in first. That's step number one. But let's not stay there. Let's keep going. Let's play. So first things first is just take in what you're going through. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, understand the moment you're in. If it's hard, say it's hard. That's okay. Say it's hard. That's the reality of life sometimes. Then realize, okay, how can I make this better? What can I do with it? Okay, it's really hard, but maybe it's just that I have a good attitude in the season that I'm in. Maybe it's not that I'm thriving or putting out the best results, but I can just simply walk with a smile on my face. Other people might see that, and that's the note that they need to see to persevere. It's not necessarily that you're having a broken leg, but you're going on the football team anyway, and you're getting the winning touchdown. Like, no, you have the broken leg, you're sitting on the bench with a cast, but you're smiling and high-fiving your teammates. If someone else sees that, that's a huge impact on their lives too. So step two is realizing what impact you can make in the position that you're in. Realize first what position you're in, where are your feet are. Secondly, figure out what you can do in the position you're in. And thirdly, it sounds like number two, but actually do it. That's the big thing. And that's the big thing I want to take away from my book too, is our very last chapter of my book is called Vamos. And in Spanish, we say it all the time. My head coach of the University of Miami women's volleyball team, he would tell it to us after every single volleyball match, go around the locker room and lock eyes with you and say, vamos. And it's let's go. Because just because we had just done the work and won the game or lost the game, whatever the result was, it was still time to go. It goes back to the whole waiting season, off season. Just because the work is done doesn't mean we rest necessarily. We still got things to do. We got places to be. We have motivations and goals to keep seeking. And so number 3 is go. Find your position. What impact can you make in it? And 3, go and actually do it, because we can have all these motivational goals and tips and books and everything. But if you don't actually move forward with putting in the effort, putting in the work and going and doing that in your daily life, we're not going to find any impact there. So my last tip is simply go.
Oh my goodness. You said so many amazing things. I absolutely love it. I feel like that advice is so good. And I especially love when you say, like, just pay attention to where you are, like locate that, you know what I mean? Like really identify where you're at, because I feel like so many times we're more focused on who we want to be than who we actually are.
Yeah.
So we try to implement all of these habits, all these routines, all of these ideas, and we're like, oh, that's who I want to be, so that's what I'm going to do. And we do it all so quickly, and we add all these things into our lives, but we didn't know who we actually were or what actually worked for us. So we fail because we didn't take time to recognize where we are, what season we're in. And when that happens, we're just setting ourselves up to go backwards and fall right back to where we are and not be able to push forward and go and impact others, like you said. That's so good.
And if you think about it too, I mean, you can't get 10 steps down the road if you don't start where your feet are here. To take one step to get a mile down, you have to take the step where you're at right now. You have to play where your feet are. So yes, we've talked about it on our podcast many, many times before, like long-term goals are great. I have hundreds, but you're not going to get to those long-term goals if you don't start by playing where your feet are today. You have to start where you're at today with the amount of money, with your finances, with your followers, with your friends, whatever you've got now. Sure, you can have that goal of being the famous influencer with 2 million followers, but how are you going to get there if you don't honor, celebrate, and treat your 2 followers the way that those 2 million should be treated, or the way that those 2 million should be honored and celebrated? You have to start by honoring those who are with you now, by using the resources and everything you have at hand now, and God will bless that in the future for sure. But it starts with what you have now. You got to steward that first.
Oh, that is so, so good. Okay. So I would love to know. I mean, seriously, you wear so many hats. You've got so much going on, and it's so amazing. But what are a few of your non-negotiables in your routines, your day-to-day that you have to do in order to keep up? Because, I mean, there is a lot going on for you. You must be having days where you just need to fall back on your must-have, your non-negotiables. What are those for you?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny right now. I feel a little bit out of, and this is the honesty of it all, play where your feet are, you know? So I feel like the honesty of it all is right now is that I'm a little out of rhythm a little bit. I had the craziest past couple weeks, and it has been the most amazing time ever. Like, I had a series of 4 days where I was at Hard Rock Stadium, which is where the Miami Hurricanes and the Miami Dolphins play, at 7 a.m. shooting a segment there. And then I shot swim and dive later that day. And then I also shot tennis that day. Then I was a color commentator on ACC Network that night for the volleyball match. Saturday was the Miami FSU game, so I had that all day Saturday reporting there. Sunday, I had our Canes volleyball alumni match. This was also homecoming weekend at the same time. Sunday night, I had my book launch party. Monday, I had a double header in-game hosting for women's basketball and men's basketball. And then just every single day after that, like, it continued with events and work and life and all the things. And so I feel like I'm a little bit in a season right now where I'm just grinding and I'm needing to find that rest. But the ways that I find that rest, or just am able to refill my soul and grab a little bit of a pause throughout my day, is by doing a couple things. And so my first thing that I always love doing is my Bible study. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at doing it every day, but I feel it if I don't. So when I need it most, that's what's going to reset me. So when I'm able to just open my Bible at night, I always read a chapter of Proverbs. I read a chapter of Proverbs, and then I read a page or two of just me reading through the Bible all the way through cover to cover. And then I also journal. So I always write out my prayers, and that's like my biggest think tank time. Like I just need that time to talk to God and talk about my thoughts and feelings and what's going through my head, because during the day, like you said, I'm go, go, go all the time. So just to have this pause in my day where I'm able to do this is huge for my mental health. That's one thing that I love doing. And then another thing that I've started doing kind of this past year, or really couple months, is I've started doing a silent drive a day. And if you know me, I am always blasting music. Whenever I'm getting ready in the mornings. I never have anything silent in my entire life. And so doing this started off really awkwardly. Like I hated it. I hated just sitting in silence. But for me, I needed that. I needed that pause in my day to rest and take a breath and just listen. And whether that was listening to the cars honking here in Miami, or it was actually just trying to listen to my own thoughts, what I was going through, listening to God, whatever you'd call it, that's become really important for my mental health too, is just taking that time to breathe and chill a little bit. And I think those two things really have been crucial for me. And then something that always helps my mental health too is working out of some sort. If I'm able to move my body in any shape or form, whether that's taking a walk or going for a run or doing a really hard workout, whatever it might be, that's an easy pick me up for me too. So I would say my quiet time, my literal quiet time in the car, and then also just getting something fitness in always helps me out.
That's amazing. So do you find, as a previous D1 athlete, that certain workouts are better for you? Like, what do you do in the gym? I want to know.
Good question. So that I think comes with a lot of my post-career struggles too, because my career ended very suddenly. I did not expect to end my career at the start of my junior season. I expected to be playing my entire college career through, but then also after that playing professionally for several years. And that wasn't like a crazy far off dream either. That was like a literal plan and goal in my life. Like that was what I was going to do. I was ready to do that. And so when my career randomly ended my junior season, I went those 6 months just being able to try to walk briskly and then eventually run again. And getting back to doing fitness was something that I ached for in my soul. Because I love working out so much and I love feeling like an athlete, but it was also finding a balance of not being so hard on myself that I couldn't dumbbell bench press 70-pound dumbbells anymore, that I was struggling with 8-pounders, and that was the truth of it all. And so it was finding things that I wasn't slamming myself for, being so terrible on my body image and my, comparing myself not to other people, but to my former self. That was huge for me. Thinking, oh, you're so pathetic now. You used to be an athlete. This is what you are now. This is embarrassing. Like, this is you running a mile. Or have you checked your time? And so I went through this whole phase where I was really just trying to find things that I could have fun with working out. So I ended up, that season after I medically retired, went straight into COVID for us. And so I actually started doing a ton of online workouts, both following people, but then I started leading my own. And so my church down here in Miami actually had me every single week lead weekly workouts for like our online community. And it was so fun and crazy. And then we would eventually do like once a month Zoom call workouts that I was leading. And then I started doing these like TikTok workouts. Excuse me as I cough and die. I started doing these TikTok workouts, and like a couple of them low-key went viral, so that was fun. And then it's just like finding fun things like that. I eventually got signed on, and I partnered with a boxing gym here in Miami, and I boxed for like 6 months, and that was a time of my life too. So I think just since retiring, it's finding stuff that I feel good, I push myself in, but I'm not afraid to get creative. So whether that's, being here at home and doing an at-home workout that I run myself, or finding people online doing YouTube videos. I love the Fabletics Fit app. If you haven't done it before, it's amazing. They have so many good workouts. Maybe it's doing a jump rope workout. Maybe it's going boxing again. Whatever it is, I just like being super creative now and playing pickup volleyball with friends at the beach, whatever it might be. I'm more in the phase of I want to be healthy, I want to be strong, but I also want to just do fun things that bring me joy, because the last time that I competitively played, it ended quite badly. And so however I can find joy while also pushing my body to its limits, that's what I'm doing today.
That is so amazing. And I love how much you changed up. You know, it's not like a strict regimen. This is what I've been doing every day since I've recovered. You know what I mean? Like, you have tried so many different things and embraced so many different styles of working out. So fun. And I love it. And I also think that that's huge for not getting bored in the gym or bored with your workouts. Because if we keep doing the same thing over and over, sometimes we're like, okay, I'm kind of done with this. And we might even stop seeing progress.
No, for sure. They say that you can't spell routine without rut. So as good as routines are, which I am a creature of habit, so I am like the first one to be guilty of that. But as good as routines are, like, it helps to change things up, especially when it's something like that where I'm not being yelled at by a coach anymore to do an exact workout. You know, I can afford to switch things up. So I think if you can switch things up in any aspect of your life, switch things up occasionally. Make it entertaining, make it exciting, and keep yourself on your toes.
I love it. That's so fun. Okay, so this has been so informative. We talked about so much. Let's finally, like, pimp yourself out. Tell us where all of your things are, your book, everything. Where can we find you? In the show notes, we will have a link so you guys can check out that. But, I mean, tell us where to find you.
Pimp yourself out. I haven't heard that one before. I love it.
It's so fun.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, I'm going to pimp myself out here, is that you guys can find me at cam.dobbs on Instagram. I am quite active on there. I will always answer DMs. I always joke and say that the doors to my DMs are wide open. So slide in. If you have a question, a comment, you just want to be friends, whatever it is, slide into my DMs. I try to be really good at answering. I'm pretty timely at it, but give me a couple, give me a little grace, but I'm pretty timely at it. So feel free to slide in. And then everything for Play Where Your Feet Are is all on all the socials. I'm on all socials as well, of course. TikTok, Twitter, all the things, as all is Play Where Your Feet Are is. Yeah, all the things. So Play Where Your Feet Are on Instagram is just simply at Play Where Your Feet Are. On Twitter, I think we're like at Play WYFA, and then Facebook, like, everything is there. But I encourage you, just go to Instagram, find us on Instagram, and everything is linked in there. We have a link tree. You will find our podcast, PWYFA, Play Where Your Feet Are. You'll find YouTube. You'll find everything from there. You can shop our merch. We're going to put the book link on there. Like, all of it is there. Just find us on Instagram or go to my Instagram. You'll find us through there too. Super easy. We're all over the place. And just follow, and subscribe and buy merch and do all the things. Because as much as it is, like I said, as much as it is about, yes, buy the merch, buy the book, whatever, the main message of everything is to go and do it. So if any of these can be a reminder, I wear bracelets on my hand every single day that say PWYFA. I have a necklace on that says PWYFA. I have merch that says Play Where Your Feet Are, all the things. But the main thing about that is because we want to be top of mind for you guys. That's why it's not just a book, it's a podcast. That's why it's not just a book and a podcast, it's merch. That's why it's not just those three things. It's me speaking in front of you too, doing speaking engagements, doing clinics, doing camps. We want to make sure that Play Where Your Feet Are can touch every single aspect of your life, because Play Where Your Feet Are does touch every single aspect of your life. Whether you are in school, in a relationship, you're struggling with confidence, it's vulnerability, whatever you might be relating this to, it relates to perfectly. Male, female, any occupation. You can play where your feet are in any position, because any position you can do your best and be your best no matter what, no matter where. So that's why we're just trying to be in all those areas, whether it's social media, whether it's the clothing you're wearing, whether it's what you're listening to, whatever it might be, Play Where Your Feet Are is going to be there. So find us on all the social medias, at Play Where Your Feet Are on Instagram, at cam.dobbs on Instagram, and we will be sure to make your time worthwhile.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Inspired Lady podcast. We are honored to have you. It has been such a good conversation, and I cannot wait to see how everyone is going to go out there, find where their feet are, see how they can impact others, and then go. So That's all for this. And thank you again, Cameron, for coming on. We absolutely loved having you.
Oh, I loved hopping on here. And of course, the dates for the book, we have November 22nd. The book will be available for pre-order, and November 29th, it's available for all orders. So grab yourself a book. You get to hear so much more of my story, everything about Play Where Your Feet Are, the behind the scenes of it all, and literally the good, bad, and ugly of my life. But it's a great book. It's a great read. It's got drama. It's got romance. It's got calls to action, athletics, college football, everything you want to read. It's all in there, and it's a great read, and it's going to change your life if you live it and read it with intentionality.
I love it. Okay, you heard it here. Go get your book, and we will see you all next week. Bye, guys.